Biosciences for invitation to present here today. I am very passionate about engaging with entrepreneurs and innovators. So I appreciate the invitation, and I want to engage and have a conversation about what we're doing at Innovation Center. So the topic that I'm going to be talking about today is partnering with Johnson & Johnson, the why, the how, and what, and then I'm going to close it up. What are the needs in our Johnson & Johnson medical device? My name is Ibrahim Badejo. People call me Ib, and I have been at Johnson & Johnson Innovation Center now for about 7 years. And since then, I've done many deals, and some of them have been successfully acquired, onboarded, and commercialized. And I'm going to give you an example. So give a perspective of the areas that what we've done and how you can engage with companies like Johnson & Johnson Innovation early in your development of your technology. Today, my talk is actually going to focus on key areas. I'm going to talk about Johnson & Johnson, a name you probably heard of or heard about, and you probably have some of our products in your medicine cabinet. I'm going to talk about our model for innovation to accelerate innovation. I'm going to now finish it up with area of high priorities, because we are strategic investors and we want to focus on the areas that are strategic to Johnson & Johnson. And then, of course, I'm going to give you an example of some of the investment that we've done that are now in human. So without any further delay, let me talk about Johnson & Johnson. So I always like to ask this question. I know all of you are on mute, but when someone talks about Johnson & Johnson, some of the images that come to mind are this, baby shampoo. I mean, my son was bathed in baby shampoo, and I'm sure many, Johnson shampoo, many children of ours were also bathed in that. Also, too, we are known for the bandage. We invented bandage many years ago. But actually, Johnson & Johnson does more than shampoo, baby powder, and baby bandage. We live with a purpose. And that purpose is to blend our heart and science and ingenuity to profoundly change the trajectory of healthcare for humanity. Again, we have our heart into this, and we're blending with a great science, ultimately to change the trajectory of healthcare for humanity. So humanity is in our heart. So that's all we live all about. We are actually the largest comprehensive healthcare company in the world, and with about 130,000 employees. And last year, our revenue was almost 83 billion. But underpinning this is that we actually lived on our credo. And our credo is what I call the North Star, or guidance. We start with what's the best interest of our patients that we serve. And then we go to what's our responsibility to our employees. And then every community that we lived in, we want to have an impact, and the world at large. And I can share with you that I've done mission trips that Johnson & Johnson supports. My local community, where I make donations to educational, to healthcare, Johnson & Johnson supports that too. And we believe if we do all these three well, if we launch the right product, if we understand our customers, if we engage with our customers, if we treat our employees fair, if we, be a good citizens in our environment, in our community, our shareholders are going to benefit from it. And our shareholders have not been disappointed. For 53 years, we've increased dividend if you own Johnson & Johnson stock. So, as I said, we're about almost 83 billion this last year, even despite COVID. Surprisingly, though, what Johnson & Johnson is known for is actually the smallest part of our business. And that in itself is not a small business, about 14.1 billion last year. And our medical device is about 23 billion. And the pharmaceuticals is about almost 46 billion. So we are a comprehensive healthcare company in the world that has a medical device, consumer, and pharmaceutical. And it's not unusual to have what we call cross-sector product development. In other words, it may not fit consumer rightly, it may not fit medical device, it may not be a true pharmaceutical, but by blending expertise in these three sectors, we believe we're able to launch even more impactful products than our competitors. But I'm going to focus on our medical device. Our Johnson & Johnson medical device, if it's taken out of Johnson & Johnson as a standalone company, it will be the second largest medical device company in the world. We can talk about the suture. The likelihood that if someone is in the hospital and is going to be closed by a suture that is made by Ethicon is probably close to 80%. So that's kind of frame what Johnson & Johnson is. But here's the role that I play, is to our model to accelerate innovation. Many companies are around, they just buy companies, which we still acquire companies at late stage, but we want to engage with entrepreneurs at any stage of the development of the company. That is unique for us. So how do we do that? That's the essence of Johnson & Johnson Innovation. We're partners for health sciences. Right? So we want to engage at different phases, from a clinician or entrepreneurs or a faculty member that has an idea that want to start a company. We have several verticals that we can engage with entrepreneurs at any stage of the company. Well, we want to make sure that we engage with great ideas up to commercialization. And we want to be able to provide guidance and mentorship. So we have JLab, which is an incubator. So if you've had some idea and you've been able to now, generate some data, and you really want to be an incubator where you have all the resources that you will need, JLab is one for you. We have a site in Texas, in Houston, JLab at TMC, and has a lot of capabilities for medical device. But during that period, we also, bring in mentorship. Every JLab resident has a JPAR, which is a senior member of Johnson & Johnson that will help shape and guide that company. So we focus on mentoring, we focus on advising, and by the way, we don't own the company. You might say this is a goodwill. I would say it goes with our purpose to change the trajectory of healthcare for humanity. But by working together with early stage companies, providing them advice, we hope we're going to be the partner of choice when they grow to a stage. But even if we're not, we accept it with gratitude because we help move the company along. And of course, where there's a NUCU, we can create companies from idea. At the Innovation Center, ours is to accelerate innovation. We do that by putting seed funding into early collaboration, and then put a right milestone to advance the idea. And then we have our equity investment arm, JJDC, which is the oldest, let me make sure I say this, oldest strategic investor in the world, healthcare investor in the world. So we've been actually investing in companies at the age of VCs. And ultimately, if all is well and successful, our BD is there to receive that asset and to truly onboard it within Johnson & Johnson. And of course, I'm going to give an example. So how do we do this? So again, we're at Johnson & Johnson Innovation Center. Our primary mission is to feed the pipeline, identify assets that are strategically aligned to our business priorities. And then people like myself that have been with early stage companies that have been advanced in an early stage company that where I became the chief scientist of Closure Medical. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in us. There's a willingness to take risk. How do we nurture that in our ecosystem? And I'm glad I'm talking to folks in Temple, Texas, or all over the world, wherever you are. But in any community that we are, we play a critical role to nurture the entrepreneurial culture. We focus on medical device, consumer, and pharma. So how are we doing this? We start with the ecosystem. Johnson & Johnson Innovation Centers are located in high strategic areas of the country. We have one in Boston, and if you think about the location, I'll talk about that. We have one in London, we have one in Shanghai, and we have one in California. If you think about it though, the ecosystem, why are we situated where we are? Let me take an example of Boston. Our office is in Kendall Square, in the heart of Cambridge. We're only few steps away from MIT, less than a mile away from MGH, less than a few miles away from Harvard, few miles away from Institutional Northeastern, few miles away from Brigham, few miles away from Dana-Farber. So we are located in the epicenter of great science, but with a big connectivity to other resources that we can help bring innovation. We work in a very competitive environment, but we're not shy of competition. But we're focusing on how do we bring this asset and advance them to the patient. That is our main focus. So we're looking at epicenters. If you think about why we're looking at San Francisco, I mean, we all know about Silicon Valley, that much talent. We know about UCSF, we know about Stanford, we know about UC Berkeley. These are great institutions. And we know about the Stanford Medical Center. We know about all these institutions that are in the area. So there's a reason why we're located in where we are. Even when you think about JLab, there's a reason why we're located at JLab inside an area. Why are we located in TMC? Texas Medical is probably the biggest, largest healthcare system in the nation. With almost about, I think people have said between 50 to 100,000 healthcare providers or healthcare practitioners or healthcare workers that come into the site. And of course, we're close to Rice. We're close to the University of Houston. So we're strategic in where we're located. Now, someone can ask, Eve, now I come to you, what do you think you can do for me? And so we have a process nailed down. One thing that I do, and this is what I'm doing right now, is, we're nurturing, we're sharing what our needs are, and we're helping the ecosystem to advance in the early stage assets. We're aligned with our partners. And, I always tell folks, I work for the business. The reason is that I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing, every technology that I'm seeing, every asset that I'm seeing, when I bring it to the business, is strategically aligned. And then we engage with the early stage company in partnership with ultimately onboarding the asset. Our engagement, even when we say no, is not the end of it. We want to keep the conversation going. It's crucial for us to keep that going, because that for us is important. So we nurture, we negotiate deals, and we plan. Before we execute a deal, whenever I'm ready to do a deal, I work with my external partner, the early stage company that I'm working with. Let's map out a plan. Let's ensure that we have the right deliverables. Let's ensure that we have the right milestone. Let's know where the inflection point is going to be. This is not something that I'll just do in vacuum in Kendall Square and just send it to my early stage company. This is a partnership. And that's something that I'm very proud of, that our engagement is more of a partnership as opposed to dictatorship. So after we've done this, again, our goal is to onboard it. That's our goal. There's nothing wrong making a return on investment financially, but that is not our motive. Our motive is, how do we engage with early stage company, identify, evaluate, plan, negotiate it, and then bring it into to Johnson & Johnson so that we can advance the technology or the solution to the patient. We want to see this in patients. So again, so we talk about the ecosystem. We talk about the process. One thing that's also unique among us is that every member of the team is experienced. They've had early stage experience. They've lived it out. And we're very small. Why do I say we lived it out? I remember when I used to be the chief scientist of Closure Medical, I don't know how many decks we sent out. And no, I'll say 90%, we never even got a response back to acknowledge that they received it. I have taken that personally, that if you send me a deck, I will review it and I'll give you my feedback. And it's also important that we are risk takers. So there's innate in us to be able to do this, because in this space of early stage ecosystem, risk is part of it. And by the way, failure is an option. It's the ability to recognize it, learn from it, and move on. So if you can't take risk, if you're kind of, let me take my time, our team is not right for you. So now let me go about, because I'm sure many of you want to understand where we want to focus our attention. Because while we are a large company, there are strongholds that we are good at. And one thing that is unique about Johnson & Johnson, we're either number one or number two in any area of that we focus on. So for our medical devices, some of our key areas are in cardiovascular, obesity, osteoporosis, in surgery, osteoarthritis. If we take a step back and look at what we are focusing on, these are high disease burden that still require high level of innovation. But then we have a support for other platforms in terms of neurovascular for strokes. We're looking for how do you resect a solid organ tumor, without destroying the other tissue around it. How do you minimally invasively, resect, or in some cases ablate percutaneously a liver or kidney cancer? Healing is a key part of it, both in soft tissue and fracture and bone healing. Anti-infective is still a big area for us because the surgical site infection is still a major part of surgery. I want to reduce that significantly. And then the new phase we're going into in 3D printing. And one of the assets I'm going to be talking about is in the area of 3D printing. So let me talk about one example of an investment that I was very fortunate to have done. And that has to do with a company called TRS, Tissue Regeneration System. What is unique about this company is that the asset actually was spun out of University of Michigan. They had great IPs, but they also have strong technical capabilities. One thing that's also unique is that the co-founders were still part of the company or supporting them. When we saw the asset, they were focused on cranial ball hole defect, which is a small area of needs. But it's good for the small company because they want to demonstrate the vitality of their technology. When we saw it, we also recognized that based on our business, based on our knowledge of the space, based on our engagement on orthopedic surgeon, we identified one area that we believed that this could be more impactful, and that is orthopedic oncology. It's possible for someone to have a leg cancer or mandible or oral cancer. Now, if you have a leg cancer, the likelihood that it's going to be amputated is pretty high. Because if it's treated, they treat it with titanium cage. And that comes with rejection and infection. So imagine if you can, 3D print a scaffold from the patient CT scan, take it to an STL file, print it, surface modify By the way, it's not just the 3D printing that is unique here. It's 3D printing it, but have the right porous architecture and the right surface coating that allow us to integration of the scaffold into the bone. We nurture this company from early stage. And by the way, most of the time when we invest in a company, it becomes a multiplier because other investors see it and say, yeah, if Johnson & Johnson is betting on this company, I have to bet on it. That's what happened with TRS. We put some money in the company. Several weeks later, they got multiple investors investing in the company. We acquired the TRS asset in 2017. We got FDA approval or clearance in 2019, and in 2020, we launched it. It is now in patients. This is an asset that was focusing on the small, high clinical unmet needs, where we recognize the value. It was spun out of Michigan and Wisconsin. We quickly engaged with the company. We now take it to commercialization and have an impact on surgery and people with leg cancer. So that's an example. No, so one thing that is unique about the Johnson & Johnson Innovation Center is that, my colleagues in pharmaceutical are sitting there, my colleagues in the consumer are sitting there, my colleagues in a medical device, we're all sitting in the same space. Of course, it's an open space, so we have a lot of dialogue. We have one meeting. So we are looking for technologies in health techs, smart devices for therapeutic delivery. We envision a world without disease. Think about this. How quickly can we intercept disease progression, like in diabetes? Maybe we have our consumer business aligned with it. Maybe identify different biomarkers. I mean, many of them are already identified, but how do we now engage? And of course, ultimately, the pharmaceutical will tell some drugs. One effort we've put in place that is strong now is on lung cancer. And it's not because people are not, people are still dying from it. In some cases, when they detect it, it's late. We want to identify it early when it's treatable and the survival is almost 100%. We want to educate the consumer. We have nuclear gum to reduce the sensation of smoking. We have our medical device, considering that we acquire Auris with our Monarch platform. Bronchoscopically, go remove tissue without causing any damage to other structure. And then we have different platforms from data analytics. Sorry, something my VPN kick in. It's going to be a minute. I'm going to be done, trust me. Once in a while, the VPN kicks in to remind you need to keep the computer and the system. Good. So, and then we have our vision care business, known as for the contact lens, AccuView. Solutions from glaucoma. So this area that I've gone through in the previous slides, just look at some of the key areas that we are very interested in. So looking for solutions in all these key eye disease areas. So I hope if anyone is on the presentation, I'm very often, I'm very active in LinkedIn. You can reach out to me and I will respond very quickly. And then, well, here's what I look for in a deck. when someone sends me a deck, is this clearly aligned on strategy? How truly transformative is this solution? Is this truly differentiating? Does it have IP? Does it have a data? And that, I always have these discussions with a lot of surgeons. They have an idea, but there's no data. They haven't even reduced it to, prototype. When I talk to inventors, I say you should reduce it to prototyping to actually convince yourself that's a working prototype. And our preference is to partner and invest. We shy away from just licensing the technology. And we can do, we do incremental innovation within our business very well. So we actually shy away from incremental innovation. So that's what I have for you today. Talk about, Johnson & Johnson, how you can partner with us, and just kind of share some of the areas of high strategic area of interest with an example of the investment that I did with TRS that we acquired. So I am done. And I'm open to take questions. Mary, Tammy, and please, if there are any questions on the chat box, I am happy to take them. Thank you so much for taking the time. Yeah, I know this is lunch period for folks in Texas, but I appreciate you. I'm grateful for your time that you've taken to come and listen to my spiel. Thank you, and I will entertain questions.
Ibrahim, thank you so much. This was so wonderful and so informative. And I really recommend that people reach out and talk with Ibrahim Nero if you have any specific questions. I'm going to ask one. So let's say I am a startup company and I have an innovation.
Yeah.
Where would I start? Would I start by reaching out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
What would I do?
I put my email address here. So you can just send me an email with what you're thinking about. And one thing you can guarantee, if you send it to Eve, you get a response.
And what would you recommend that they say in the email? Should they send you a deck?
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
Yeah, my preference is you send me a deck. And my preference is also that please don't put confidential proprietary on that deck. Because if you do it, I will send it back to you. So, and then, give me a few days. I'm not even asking for a week for feedback. And generally, I'll give you the feedback. The feedback could be, yeah, it's interesting, but it's not on strategy. Yeah, it's interesting, it's not on strategy, but here's a company JYZ that you could consider reaching out to. Yeah, it's on strategy, but here are some gaps. Yeah, it's on strategy. Let me bring a team around to listen to this spiel. So that's how we engage. I hope I answered that question.
That's awesome. That's perfect. Why don't the members of the audience right now put in the chat, what do you do? Are you a startup? Are you an entrepreneur? We would love to know who you are, and maybe then we can start a conversation about your needs. So please, this is your time to have a higher up in Johnson & Johnson talk with you directly. Don't feel shy. That's why you're here.
I could also add, we have sieved through close to 5,000 opportunities come to our desk. And we have deployed, also at least $1 billion or $2 billion since the start of Innovation Center.
Well, we have Jeff Levine. Sorry about that, Jeff. He's building an optical machine vision platform to make digital surgery more accurate and capable. Jeff?
Hi there. Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well, Ibrahim. Thank you for entertaining us today. Much appreciated. So what my company is building, that is kind of on your list there, you listed digital surgery. So I imagine you're very familiar with image guided navigation systems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So what our machine does is we track, we do a better job of registering the patient than anything else that's on the market right now.
Mhm.
We're also able to track both rigid and soft tissue throughout the procedure relative to any fiducials or trackers.
Yeah.
So we can alert the surgeons if registration is lost throughout a procedure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then on soft tissue, we're able to diagnose from a distance with no contact or radiation tissue. So kind of like facial recognition for cancers
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right in the body.
Awesome. This is on strike. What modality are you using? Are you using hyperspectra or what I kind of,
It's a structured light scanner. We can use whatever kind of light we can.
I see.
But right now it's just white light. We can
Mm.
use different wavelengths to fluoresce things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a new method. That's our IP. So our unique
Good.
IP
Yeah.
is hardware based way
Mm.
of collecting data on these scans.
No problem. Well, you have my email address. Please
do.
reach out. And, if you want to send an executive summary or if you want to send a non-confidential deck, I'll take it on and I'll get back to you. But that's on strategy for us.
Thank you. Glad to hear it. You'll have it.
Just as a background, Jeff was actually in our incubator for a while. So, yeah.
Graduated.
Thank you, THBD. You guys kicked off.
Yeah, we got them started, gave them $25,000 seed funding, and that really helped them be the fantastic company they are right now. So I can give you my personal recommendation about Jeff. Just
That's fine. Thank you, Jeff. I look forward to getting the pitch or executive summary from you, and then we can, have a conversation, and I can schedule a call. You can let me know your availability, and I can, we can go through it.
You got it. You'll have it today.
Thanks, man.
All right, then we have John. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Morial from Lumigis Inc. He's a mobile and flexible large-scale decontamination service. Hi, John.
That's a decontamination device.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so what we do, we embed solid state components into textile systems,
Mhm.
creating what we call an e-textile. And we happen to use certain, very much as I think it was Jeff was saying, light to do our business. And we actually are able to decontaminate surfaces in less than 30 seconds. So far, we've tested the device and gotten to 4 nines within 30 seconds. So I would love to talk to Ebe when you have some time.
No problem. We used to hold a business called Advanced Sterilization Products. Unfortunately, we divested our business. So your decontamination device will not be on strategy for Johnson & Johnson anymore. It used to be about 2 years ago, but we divested our business. I think it went into a private, a PE.
Private equity.
Private equity. So they call Advanced Sterilization Product, ASP. It's, so I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. I think one of the leaders, I know him very well. I wish I can remember his name, but anyway, you can identify the company online.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, interesting also, we have Celestina Okoyenta. She's a research assistant at Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, and she really enjoyed your presentation, so she wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. She's from my country.
I figured
Of course, I'm a U.S. citizen, so I have a heart in two places. My mom is still alive in Nigeria, and I'm here, and my son is raised up here. I've been here about 41 years.
How often do you get to go back?
Well, before COVID, I actually go back at least twice. But yeah, I bought a ticket last year I would have gone 3 times. I just like to go hang out. My mom lives in a village. I just like to hang out and eat real organic food.
Oh, I bet she's a good cook.
And I just hang out there. I spend a week with her and I come back. So thank you so much. And looking forward to going back. I think probably in July, August. Hopefully, we already have the ticket, so we'll see.
That's awesome. All right. Does anybody else want to pop on and say hi? We'd love to see you. We can go on gallery view now, and you can all put your wonderful faces on so we can say hi. All right, Abraham, thank you so much for everything. You were wonderful. I really appreciate your time. You and I need to stay in touch for sure.
Let's do that.
And have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, and look forward to hearing back from everyone. As I said, I am on LinkedIn. I'm very prolific. I don't blog, but I share a lot. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn, and of course, you have my email address. You can just drop me an email and say, XYZ, can you give me your thoughts? And I'll be happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us. Mary, do you want to let them know what our next e-learning series is going to be?
Yeah, you can actually register now. We'll put that link in the chat as well. We are going to have Aaliyah Aaron, the founder of Nursing Innovation Hub, with us on Tuesday, May 25th, again at 12 p.m. You can register at templebioscience.org/elearning or bit.ly/THBD52521. And I want to make sure I know exactly what she's talking to us about. It is clinical advisory boards and why your startup may need to consider including a board as part of your team. So we hope to see you there. Thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll see you next time.